Well, would you encourage somebody to get that psychological training?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it to know. I do know that some of the most interesting insights in both negotiation and mediation these days are coming out of experiments done by psychologists. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how we've learned about loss aversion and reactive devaluation. Whole lists of things that, optimistic over-prediction. But we knew all that. We couldn't label them and we couldn't prove them. But I think that it's very interesting for mediators to know about these things because you see it happening in your mediations every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that you can then do what as you see that optimistic evaluation or reactive devaluation?
For example, reactive devaluation means that if somebody you're having a dispute with suggests a possible solution, it is human nature to devalue that solution, to think less of it because of its source, in reaction to who said it. Right. I, as a mediator, can help to reduce that by putting a lot of possibilities out there in the sky and not identifying anything as having come from the other party.
It sounds like if I'm hearing you correctly, though, you're disguising. You're in some ways manipulating.
Oh, mediation is very manipulative. I mean, that doesn't shock you. You're a mediator. It is very manipulative. But people, sophisticated users understand that. They want us to manipulate the other party so they can get what they want.
But what are the checks and balances of that? How do you maintain? You talked about yourself and self-describing yourself then as a neutral. How does that fit, on one hand being the neutral, and on the other hand necessarily engaging in, I'm assuming constructive, but nonetheless manipulative behaviors?
It's a good question. I think the most important way is to help people understand, to the extent that we can, what the negotiation process is. They're just using us to help them to negotiate. They're trying to help us overcome barriers. They can't get information about the interests of the other party that if they had, they might be able to design options to help solve the dispute. Why can't they get them? Because people in a negotiation are afraid that if they really say what's important to them, they'll lose something. They don't trust the other party. We have conventions of negotiation that cause people not to tell the truth in negotiations. So I think we really can help with that. Now, how do you reconcile the fact that it is manipulative not to say, yes, that's what the other party suggested, or that's really your idea, with what we're talking about, self-determination? And that's a tough question. I think that one of the ways that I do it is I believe, and this may be a rationalization, that we're prevented sometimes from making decisions that are in our own interest by all kinds of emotional barriers and psychological barriers that we're just starting to learn about. We've kind of suspected all this stuff all along, but we're just labeling them now, and psychologists are helping us prove that these things really do exist. Mm-hmm. And I think in the end, people reach agreements more readily, and agreements that maximize the gains for everybody in more situations when they have some assistance. Mm-hmm. Now, is that really self-determination or is that manipulation? I don't think I can answer that question. Yeah. I think it's some combination. Yeah.